All right, let's get into it. Today we're going to trace this incredible transformation in art that happened over 2 centuries. And here's the thing, Spanish artists weren't just part of the story. A lot of the time, they were the ones writing it. We're going to see how art went from capturing these huge, passionate emotions to a whole new world of geometric shapes and dreamlike scenes. So, yeah, this is the big question, right? How in the world did we get from that to this? I mean, we're talking about melting clocks here. This wasn't just a simple change in style. It was a complete shift in how artists were seeing the world and their role in it. Let's dig into how artistic expression basically reinvented itself. Okay, so our story kicks off in the 19th century. You gotta picture it. A time of massive change. Steam engines, political revolutions, huge social upheaval. And art? Well, it wasn't just some quiet observer. It was right there in the thick of it, trying to make sense of all the chaos and excitement of a world being turned upside down. To really get a handle on this century, you need to know about 3 major movements that basically tumbled one after the other. And what's so cool is that each one was pretty much a direct response to the one that came before it. It was like this ongoing artistic conversation happening across generations. And this comparison right here shows that pivot perfectly. Romanticism started things off, and it was all about the inner life, Big feelings, epic landscapes, the drama of revolution. But then, realism showed up and basically said, hold on, let's just look at what's actually in front of us. And just like that, the focus completely shifted to everyday life, to factories, to farms, to a reality that was a lot more gritty and, well, real. So, fast forward to the end of the century, and you get modernism. And it did something kind of different. It took inspiration from things the Romantics loved, like nature and religion, but it spun them into these totally new, wild forms. And if you're talking about modernism in Spain, you have to talk about the genius architect Antonio Gaudí. I mean, his buildings look like they grew straight out of a fantasy world. Now, once we hit the 20th century, everything just kicks into high gear. And this is where Spanish artists really step onto the world stage. They weren't just joining the new movements anymore. In a lot of cases, they were the ones who were creating them. First on the scene, Cubism. This was Pablo Picasso's brainchild. And it was more than just a weird new look. It was a response to a changing world. Think about it. Photography was now a thing. It could capture reality perfectly. So what's a painter supposed to do? Well, Picasso's answer was to just smash reality to pieces, break it all down into geometric shapes to show you different angles all at once. It was his way of capturing the fractured, fast-paced feeling of modern life. And if you look at his masterpiece, Guernica, you can see just how powerful this new artistic language could be. So if Cubism was about taking the visible world apart, Surrealism was all about exploring the world you can't see. The world was reeling from the trauma of World War I, and Sigmund Freud's new ideas about the subconscious mind were taking hold. Suddenly, the world didn't seem so logical anymore. So artists like Salvador Dali, they turned inward. They started mining their own dreams and subconscious thoughts for inspiration. Those famous melting clocks of his, they aren't just strange for the sake of being strange. They're a direct challenge to our very idea of time. And the final leap on this journey away from just painting what you see was abstract art. By the time we get to the mid-20th century, artists like the amazing Basque sculptor Eduardo Chillida weren't even trying to represent physical reality anymore. Instead, they were using pure form and color and texture to express ideas and feelings directly. But this incredible explosion of creativity wasn't just happening with paint and stone. That same revolutionary fire was catching on in the world of literature, where Spanish poetry was about to find a whole new voice. So, just look at this number on the screen, 27. What in the world could be so important about the number 27 when it comes to Spanish culture? Well, it's not a date. It actually stands for a whole generation of thinkers. It represents the generation of 27, this incredible group of poets who all came together in the 1920s, and they were totally in sync with the times. Just like Picasso and Dalí were breaking apart old forms in art, these writers were dead set on experimenting with language to find new ways to express what it felt like to be alive in the modern world. And this group included some absolute giants of Spanish literature. I mean, poets like the fiery Miguel Hernández and the brilliant, tragic Federico García Lorca. They completely changed the game for poetry. Okay, so we've just blasted through 2 centuries of art, from feelings to forms to pure abstract ideas. But why does any of this really matter now? What's the big takeaway from this whole whirlwind of different isms? This quote really just nails it. Art doesn't happen in a vacuum. The intense emotions of Romanticism, that reflected an age of revolution. The splintered logic of Cubism, it echoed a new scientific view of the world. The bizarre dreamscapes of Surrealism, that tapped right into the brand new field of psychology. Art gives us this unique window into history, and it doesn't just show us what happened, it shows us how it felt to be alive back then. And of course, that story is never really over. Art is always changing, always morphing to reflect our own complicated, crazy world. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? Years from now, when people look back at our era, what will they say was the defining art of our time?